Okay, so keeping with the fall vibes, these are my healthy 60-calorie pumpkin muffins, and they are gluten and dairy-free as well. So start by making some applesauce, just half an apple into a blender, blend it up so that it looks like this, and then a cup of pumpkin puree, add the apples, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a teaspoon of baking powder, and then half a cup of sweetener, and then 1 tablespoon of sugar-free syrup, 1/3 cup of egg whites, and then a 1.5 cups of oat flour. Mix that up, and then you're just gonna divvy that into a greased muffin tin at 350 for about 15 minutes.
Go! Who's next? Go!
A cake trend that I could just not resist is the mini cake movement, and I don't know if that's what it's really called, but that's what I'm calling it. I took a leftover cake layer I had, cut two 2-inch circles out of it using a small circle cutter, added some rainbow sprinkles and frosting, then attempted to crumb coat it, which was really difficult just because the cake layers are so small. I definitely recommend using an acetate sheet and a skewer to help keep your layers in place. I then added my second layer of frosting, which was so hard to smooth, so I ended up just using a frosting comb to give it a somewhat uniform look. Then I added some more rainbow sprinkles and used my smallest frosting tip to add some colorful buttercream to the top. It was almost too cute to eat, but it literally is the perfect personal sized little cake. Let me know if you guys want to see more of these.
Do you guys ever get tired of plain eggs and toast? I made this miso butter and we've been using it daily. It's literally 2 simple ingredients, unsalted butter and miso. You can use any miso paste that you like. Keep it in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. Heat up a few pats of butter on a pan, then add your eggs. I like to keep the eggs a little runny and finish it off with a pat of butter and some Parmesan cheese.
If you haven't made homemade English muffins, you are missing out. You'll need 1 cup warm milk and a 1/3 cup warm water, 3 tablespoons melted butter, 3 tablespoons honey, 2 1/4 teaspoon yeast. Mix to dissolve, then combine 1.5 cup bread flour, 2 teaspoons salt. With the dough hook, slowly mix in your wet ingredients. Medium speed, 8 minutes. Make sure it's nice and smooth, cover, let rest for 1 hour. Cornmeal on a baking sheet, then cut your dough into 12 equal pieces. No pressure, they don't have to be perfect. Roll into a top ball, then place on your baking sheet. Rest for another 45 minutes, then flatten, dust with cornmeal. Brown on a cast iron 2 minutes each side over medium heat. Repeat with the rest, then bake at 350 for 15 minutes. Let cool and dig in. They're so flavorful and they took less than 3 hours to make. If you've never had English muffins, what are you waiting for? I ate half in one day. Recipe linked in bio. Seriously.
Sure, we all know that guac and chips is a great option at a Latino restaurant, but maduros are on a whole nother level. These are a staple in any Latinx household, and in honor of the last day of Hispanic/Latinx Heritage Month, I'm going to show you how to make them. First, we're going to take 2 to 3 super ripe sweet plantains and peel them. I like to slice one side and then peel the other half with my hands, and then slice them diagonally into 1-inch slices. Then you're going to heat about a cup of vegetable oil over medium heat and fry the plantains on each side for around 2 to 3 minutes until nice and golden. Once cooked, we're going to make another staple, and that's mayo ketchup, and any Puerto Rican knows that mayo ketchup is how you eat plátanos. You're going to mix mayonnaise, ketchup, and seasoning because of course we season our food here. Once mixed together, go ahead and plate your maduros, sprinkle some flaky sea salt, dip it in the mayo ketchup, and
I want to make this in bulk because you're going to be putting it on everything. Crack open 1 can of chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. These are just dried and smoked jalapenos in a red sauce. I'm going to use about 3 or 4 of them for mine, but totally use as many or as little as you'd like. We're just going to chop that up until it's into a nice paste. Feel free to go as thick or as thin as you'd like. Then we're going to toss it into a bowl and add about 1/4 cup of your favorite mayonnaise. To that, I'm adding some crystal hot sauce for some heat. And then I had some black garlic salt on me, so I threw that in there as well. You can stop here, but I like to add a spoonful or 2 of the sauce from the peppers to give it a little bit of a smokier flavor. And just like the slaw, this needs to rest up in the fridge because the flavors are going to get even better as it chills. Part 4's up.
Stop spending all your money on oat milk. Instead, make it at home in a blender with 1/2 cup of oats, 3 cups of water, a little bit of salt, and some MCT oil. Warm it up for about 15 seconds. Pour it over a strainer, and that's literally it. And you have a whole jar of fresh oat milk that'll last in your fridge for 5 days. And you can even put it in your coffee like I do. And it's delicious and fresh and doesn't have any ingredients you don't want in it.
Okay, you guys asked for a soup, so we're gonna do squash soup. Cut side down into the oven. Shallots, ginger, garlic, turmeric, cinnamon, Lemongrass lime leaf. This next ingredient is one of the biggest secrets for squash soup, so don't tell anyone. Honey. And then caramelize the honey. 1 can coconut cream. Same can of coconut cream, fill it with vegetable stock or water. Roasted squash goes in. This part's optional, but I like adding some fresh microplane ginger at the end. Feel free to add whatever you want. I'm just gonna do some radish sprouts. And then some of this chive oil from a video I did a couple days ago.
Let's make candied lemon slices. Make sure your lemons are well rinsed. I recommend using organic so there aren't as many chemicals in the peel. Cut really thin slices. For our simple syrup, combine equal parts sugar and equal parts water with a bit of yellow food coloring. When it boils, add your lemon slices. Simmer this for about 45 minutes. Let them dry on parchment paper. Looks like I forgot a seed in this one. When life gives you lemons, you make candied lemon slices.
Next time you cook shrimp, instead of throwing these shells away, why not turn them into an incredible shrimp stock? Now let's go! Super easy, medium heat pot, add your onions, your garlic, your carrots. If I had celery, I'd be adding that too, and of course your shrimp shells. Give it a good mix, add a little pinch of salt, and cook that down for about 10 minutes. Now go in with some Italian parsley, followed by Sergeant Gilbert's insides, a couple of bay leaves, and just top off with your water. Bring to a simmer and let it roll for 20 minutes. Now strain, just push gently. Set that over some ice water to cool quickly. Once that's cooled down, just store it in your fridge or freezer. Tomorrow, I'm gonna use this to make some unbelievable shrimp scampi. Also makes a fantastic sauce for shrimp and grits. Make sure to follow me here as well as my new account, Sunnytime, which is linked below. And I'm gonna get weird over there. Well, my friends, you know I love
It only takes 4 ingredients to make these apple pies. We start with peeling and de-seeding the apples, slice and cover them in white sugars and cinnamon. Give them a mix till coated, cut some circles in the pastry, magical click, and place an apple piece on each circle. Top them off with a pastry lid and seal the edges with a fork. Coat in some white sugars and they're ready for the oven. Just pre the flakiness and the sweetness of these apple pies. Enjoy.
Alright y'all, this video was requested by one of our viewers. Homemade mochi right here. You gonna wanna start with some sweet rice flour, sugar, water, and a drop of vinegar. Pour that in and then start mixing that shit. It's gonna look like this. Cover that up and throw it in the microwave for a couple minutes. After that, you wanna sprinkle some potato starch. Now all you gotta do is scrape it out, and you wanna flip it over so you can sprinkle some more starch on the other side. For this next part, you wanna start cutting them down. You wanna eventually get them into cubes. As far as the size, that's really up to you. After that, you wanna throw them in some starch and sugar. Make sure to dust off all the excess powder after. Not too crazy, right? This one's my favorite topping on the shaved ice.
Considering these are only 3 ingredients and vegan, I'd say they're a new dessert staple for me. You're gonna start with 2 extra ripe bananas and mash them up, then add 1 cup of shredded unsweetened coconut and mix together. Once it's well combined, you're gonna form these little donut-looking shapes on parchment before cooking for 25 minutes on 350. They'll come out golden and crispy on the sides. Meanwhile, melt some chocolate. You're gonna smother each cookie with the melted chocolate. I promise you're really gonna love these.
Today I'm making pulled pork bell pepper boats. Let's go!
So for this recipe, I'm using a pork roast by Hatfield. These already come pre-seasoned and they're super easy to make. I love these. I set my pork roast to a low heat and I let that cook overnight for approximately 12 hours. Afterwards, I was able to pull it apart with just the tongs. It was like butter, so tender. Now, because I'm resourceful and not wasteful, I wanted to finish the rest of my Frank's Red Hot sauce, so I poured that in there. Then I followed it with some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. This is my favorite. I mixed that all up, and then I added cinnamon. Once all of my ingredients were mixed up and added, I just let it sit for about 10 minutes so that all the flavors can marry together, and I covered it with a lid. Once my pork was done, I stuffed it in some bell peppers, added shredded cheese, and baked beans.
Is it a jalapeno chaffle or fried jalapenos? I don't know. Cheese goes down in the Dash Mini waffle maker, spread it out, let it get melty. I'm using jalapenos. You can use fresh, these are from a jar. Let them drain, get nice and good. Peppers go in on top of the melted cheese. Add more cheese to the top. Close that sucker down and let it cook 3 minutes or so. When it's nice and crispy, you'll be able to tell because you can pull it out. Now listen to this crunch. Oh yeah, good. I ate it with sour cream.
These are absolutely insane. Let's make Parmesan garlic chicken tenders. Start off by seasoning down your chicken cubes and going with a bunch of buttermilk. Submerge them. You want to marinate them 4 to 24 hours or until you lose patience. Now go in with some flour and a little cornstarch. Now heavily season it with your favorite seasoning. Don't forget the salt so it's not bland. Now transfer half that mixture to another bowl. And now go in with a bunch of panko breadcrumbs. Now we have the marinated chicken, some of the dry batter, a seasoned egg wash. Now the dry batter with the panko breadcrumb. I'm telling y'all, these boys are about to be crispy. Now take your chicken, go into the dry batter, back into the egg wash, and now into the panko mixture. And now fry. To some melted butter, roast down a bunch of minced garlic. These are so crispy, it's crazy. Remember, you could do these with the whole chicken tender. For the sauce, use some mayo, thyme leaves, your roasted garlic, chili flakes, and a bunch of Parmesan cheese. And now go in with your tenders or nuggets. And now we have final product. These are absolutely insane. Let's make Parmesan garlic chicken tenders. Start off by seasoning down your chicken cubes and go in with a bunch of buttermilk. Submerge them. You want to marinate them 4 to 24 hours or until you lose patience. Now go in with some flour and a little cornstarch. Now heavily season it with your favorite seasoning. Don't forget the salt so it's not bland. Now transfer half that mixture to another bowl. And now go in with a bunch of panko breadcrumbs. Now we have the marinated chicken, some of the dry batter, a seasoned egg wash. Now the dry batter with the panko breadcrumb. I'm telling y'all, these boys are about to be crispy. Now take your chicken, go into the dry batter, back into the egg wash, and now into the panko mixture. And now fry. To some melted butter, roast down a bunch of minced garlic. These are so crispy, it's crazy. Remember, you could do these with the whole chicken tender. For the sauce, use some mayo, thyme leaves, your roasted garlic, chili flakes, and a bunch of Parmesan cheese. And now go in with your tenders or nuggets. And now we have final product. Now
This little crowd pleaser is only 3 ingredients and completely out of this world delicious and so easy to make. All you have to do is chop up 2 cups of sweet onions, then add 2 cups of mayo and add 2 cups of grated Swiss cheese. Make sure you actually grate it. It's so much better that way and creamier. Add salt and pepper, mix it, add it to a dish, bake at 350 for 30 minutes or until it looks like this. Make sure you could replace it with another cheese, but it's not gonna be as good because Swiss has that unique, like nutty, sweet flavor. And then dippity-doo, baby.